one all, and welcome to another amazing and exciting adventure on Spirit Sessions of View of the Light. Here's a little sage for everyone. So come in, come in. We are pre-recording special today, but we'll be there with you in the audience on Sunday when you see this. And we are so excited because this is part 2 in my series of 4 weeks between Earth Day and Mother's Day, honoring the Divine Feminine each of those weekends. And so this is part 2 of Rise of the Divine Feminine. And we have Dr. Amber Wolf here to share Star Women and Sha Women. So it's going to be really exciting. But first, before we get into all the excitement, we have a regular feature with Rhonda sharing a card of the week. Rhonda.
Thank you. Thanks, Teresa. I'm just going to move down here. Because today's Earth Day, at least it is in Canada, I'm sure it's across the world. I pulled from the Sacred Forest Oracle by Denise Lynn, and I have this card to share with you. It's Aspen Spirit. I don't know if I can get the light on it so you can see it. It's a beautiful aspen, golden aspen forest in the fall with blue butterflies. It's very, very beautiful card. And the name of this card is Courage. So here's your theme for this week is to step forward, tap into your warrior spirit that's in you, within you. You just grab onto that warrior woman, you know, Xena warrior, whoever you connect with, and be strong enough to step forward into your life, dropping anything that you don't need and just moving through the blockages that are keeping you from being who you want to be, who the best person is that's waiting out there for you to embrace. So that's the card for this week. And I just want to welcome Brittany. Thank you, Brittany Floyd, for stepping in as our third poor Bex. She just can't grab a break this week. She's missing us again, but she still continues to do our graphics and still is our anchor and support. So Teresa, I'm going to put it back over to you, and you can introduce our very special guest today. Yeah.
Okay. And so I wanted to make one more word about Brittany. She's from the Sacred Yen Secrets, which is perfect. We still got the yen going on here and all the beautiful energy coming in. So Dr. Amber Wolf has always been someone I admire for like so many years ago, which she would do the meditations before a Kryon discourse. And her voice would just instantly put me into that space. I could hear her anywhere, even in my mind, and just like that calmness. But she's developed over the years, you know, she gets these assignments given to her that goes on and on and on. And so we're going to have her on today to talk about some of those. It's been a long time since we had you on, Amber. Welcome.
Thank you, honey. Thank you. It's great to be back with you. I really appreciate your invitation, and especially Earth Day and the month of the Divine Feminine. It's just, that's where my heart is.
Yeah, it's a good time for that. I just love all this. So I spent a few years withdrawing on social media for a little while. And so I've only been caught up with you when you were doing the Lemurian Sisterhood, and then some of the teachings on the wheel. And then after that was when I pulled back. So I have missed out on a lot. Would you like to share any of that?
Sure. I'll give you the Cliff Notes, right? The version. Well, Lemurian Sisterhood meetings went on for 10 years when I was traveling with Lee Carroll all over the world. And then they went on online, and they still go on online, but in different form. I celebrate this year the Star Mothers, the Pleiadian Star Mothers, our original star parents, advised me, my sacred assignment, to celebrate the 8 seasons of the year. So I do the 2 equinoxes and the 2 solstices, but also all the midpoints, which are halfway between the equinoxes and the solstice. So we have one coming right up, Beltane, May 1st, or May Day as we've come to call it. And that will be, and I'm going to talk about events a lot. So there's just a tab on my website, events, and you can reference those. So sacred assignments, always, always coming. But in 2019, Kryon and the Pleiadian Star Mothers brought me the sacred assignment of the Shamanic Teaching Wheel. And we'd already had the Lemurian Teaching Wheel, which was came through Kryon on the Big Island in December. We had an event in 2017 called Return to Lemuria. And so that came through, but there really wasn't a teaching school of it. Now, Lee and Monica since then have taught with Kryon's direction, the Lemurian Teaching Wheel, and that has their website. But graduates from the Lemurian Teaching Wheel, who were men and women that wanted to go on and further their wisdom and their knowledge and spend more time with the teachers who were the Star Mothers, went into a program, a course, a school called the Shamanic Teaching Wheel. And like the Lemurian Teaching Wheel, it has 5 spokes. I'm wearing a pendant that the Star Mothers channeled in through me of that wheel. And the 5 spokes are earth, air, fire, water, and culture. Not what you'd expect, culture.
Wow.
Right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, and then they didn't give me the actual like fire ceremonies and water, cleansing. It wasn't that. It was a representation of different things. So, for instance, the fire element is your fire emotions, or what we call our negative emotions, but emotions that are based in fear. And how do we, because that really pretty much is our program. And, at the very bottom of anything else we can take away is our fear. And so what do we do to transmute that? And so we work with that in the fire spoke. And the earth spoke is not about the woods. It's about the unseen things on the earth, like the fairies and the gnomes and the sounds that we hear in, that we don't see. And it's, I'm just going to be brief. The air spoke is not actually air, it's wind, because wind is active. Air is just passive, right? Until it moves, right. And something moves it and it becomes wind. And in that spoke are the things that we hear, but we don't see, like our intuition and telepathy and our ability to channel and listen to our inner voice. That is where the wind lives. So it's things that sort of breeze in and that we learn to pay attention to. And that's what that teaching is. Earth, air. We did fire, we did wind, and the water spoke is actually about ceremonies. And it is about washing away. So as we always, thank the mother for the beautiful water on our planet, this is about what do we do when we're ready to, we've transmuted our fears, we've learned to listen to our inner voice, and we want to change our direction by washing away the old. And then, what have I left out?
Culture.
Just culture? I'm fast. Okay.
Yes. 1, 2, 3.
Culture is the culture that we are. And I don't mean if we're Italian or Hispanic or Caucasian. By culture, I'm feminine. By the broader look at culture, I'm a mother. I'm postmenopausal. So I'm, single. So all of those things make up the culture of me. I'm a teacher. I love to exercise, and all of those things. So we have individual cultures, right? but we also share cultures. Just like whatever color your skin is on the outside, you're still the same inside. We all have, two eyes, a nose, and a mouth. So we share a greater culture. So do all women who have had children share a greater culture. So that is the basic part of culture. Then we also, in a wheel, we have a hub, and we also have a rim. And we still go by Kryon's original geometry, that the first third of the wheel and the second third of the wheel and the third third of the wheel that makes up the whole. So the rim on the hub on the inside is quite large because it's a third. And in that rim, in that center, in that hub, is our divine selves, who we are as divine beings, who we are as we come from source, who we are as creators, as especially women who are having a creative, very strong creative center within the culture of their physical body. Then the rim, we have all of the things from the outside that we influence and that influence us. So that could be our ancestors, could be our teachers, it could be our neighbors, it could be not nice things, it could be nice things. So we just, at the end of this teaching wheel, we did a beautiful ceremony to clear the rim. Everybody goes, and then invite into the rim who it is, the unseen also. So you want to invite your guides and, the Star Mothers, the dragons, the ancestors that have helped you. You invite them in and you release what is done. So it became, in the 2 years that I've been bringing through the content for that course, it surprises me all the time. And that's one thing that has been really good for me, is to learn to expect the unexpected, that sacred assignments have their own road, their own journey, and it can, turn on a dime at any time, and to just be okay with that, because the Star Mothers, our guides, the creative source of the universe, the love energy, really has the best in mind for us. So as I started to complete the teachings of the Shamanic Teaching Wheel, I had the course material lined out. The whole, I don't know what else to call it except the dragon thing, because I, unlike other people, I'm not a dragon person. I really have, it's not been a thing for me ever. I probably resonate more because I'm from the East Coast and I spent a lot of time in Massachusetts. I resonate more with witches, white witches, and that kind of thing, but never dragons. They, the Eastern dragon, like it's the year of the dragon, and their dragons are golden and, courageous and helpful. And then we have the fairy tale ones of Europe, which were, ran amok all the time, and they were always getting wiped out. But I see now as that through a whole series of events, the Star Mothers told me that this was my next sacred assignments, was to bring through the dragons of Mu, of Lemuria, which are not the dragons of the East, and they're not the dragons of the West or of Europe. And they predate all of that, just like the Star Mothers being in Lemuria predates any of the history that we have discovered or have yet to discover, 200,000 years. So, I of course said, "Are you sure I'm the right person for this? I'm not really a dragon person."
I feel you, Amber.
That's cute.
Well, I have a little table on the other side of the room that has, besides this behind me, I have 4 dragon, different sized dragons that people have sent me. They've just started sending me these dragons. So
wow.
I'm clearly now someone that has a lot to do with dragons. And, it's really perfect timing. But I have to say, so far, it's not at all what I would have expected. It's really, and in the couple times that I have channeled, so there are the 7 dragons, like the 7 parts of the wheel, and they have to do with this wheel, but not the same as the Shamanic Teaching Wheel. They are earth, air, fire, water, and culture, but completely different. And the hub and the rim, completely different. And then there's the great mother dragon, who is this deep midnight sky blue. And she resides in the Pleiades and has never come to Earth, but she's sort of like command central of all the other dragons that have been in one form or another here. So the 2 live classes that we've had have been her coming through at the end of the class. And they tell me I'm not channeling them, that they give me teachings and then transmissions. So it's very different. And so far, it's like I have on a new pair of shoes and they don't quite fit yet. When the transmission is happening, the teachings have been they came over the New Year's weekend, and they came through. A lot of the basic teachings came through in 72 hours, and I wrote almost 20,000 words. I just didn't stop for that time. And now it's sort of breaking them down into disseminating them into how to best teach them in a short amount of time. Yeah, so the Star Mothers are definitely involved in that. They are, what Kryon has said, and this, that's my wheelhouse, is that the Pleiadians, the Star Mothers, could not access the dragon energy until they had been ascended for a millennium. So that's 1,000 years. So when we think about who we are and what we're doing, that sort of, makes you a little wonky, like, how could we possibly be doing this? And, we've incarnated. If we add up all the years of our incarnations, it's well over 1,000 years. So,
60,000 years, anyways.
Yeah. If we, even if we only had 10 lifetimes, and I know we've had a lot more, we've had, hopefully, all of those lifetimes have given us the wisdom to say that we can have this we're in the position to receive this ascended knowledge from the dragons. So that's where we're going with that. And it's really exciting. I'm doing things in that class I haven't done before. We've created a really nice journal. They've just tell me, write this, do that. I love doing the graphics. That's my sort of experience in creativity. I can't draw at all, but I can do computer graphics. So I love doing that. And earlier you asked me about cards, because my last deck of cards are the ones from the Star Mothers. Those were 2017 those came through. So we've been still using those. There are 6 activations of those now.
Oh, I missed the last then.
They're on my website. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you can find them there. One of them was done here in Tucson in 2021 when we had a gathering during COVID because we could be outside of town. And it was all the people who Kryon had given Lemurian names to. And I think there are 6 of us. So we gathered here, and Dr. Todd, of course, was one of those people. Yeah, and he did a beautiful song for that activation. So that is also on my website. And I sometimes like to just play it. I made it into a 15-minute loop. So dragon cards are definitely coming. there's only so many hours in the day, as you know.
Even if you had 1,000 years to get onto it, you still.
Yeah. But I have found Spirit led me to this wonderful woman. Her name is Shirley, and her handle is @Lemurian Dream Weaver. She's an astrologer, a musician, and an artist, and she makes beautiful light language that she's given for all the parts of the wheel, of the dragon wheel. So we have that, and that'll be a part of making the cards. So, yeah.
Oh, how exciting! That's going to be
Spirit
beautiful.
just brings the pieces together, and I feel like I gather them. I'm in the middle of the wheel, and the spokes are feeding into the center, and then there'll be a production. Yeah. Yeah, so the women that are finishing the Shamanic Teaching Wheel, actually the day before this will be aired on the 27th of April, have been in the program for about 2 years. And what the Star Mothers have said is that, as we have moved, the wheel has had 2 sides. There was a big ceremony as we turned the wheel over to the graduate side, they call it. And that was really beautiful. And then we went on with more ceremonies and classes and teaching different healing that the women who are completing the 2 years, they want them to have Lemurian names if they don't already. So that's really exciting. And consider themselves a shaman. And I am such a feminist that I started questioning shaman. It's easy to say shaman, not as easy. Woman, not so easy, like heroes and sheroes, right? Heroes. So I said, okay. And so it's women, women. And Sha, interestingly enough, in the Oriental language means energy. So there we are. And there's no coincidences. It's all a plan, and we just go, oh, that, okay. Yeah.
Aha moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love those moments.
My life is built around all of these things. And I have an emissary tribe of women who are all over the world teaching the Lemurian Sisterhood teachings, and the Shamanic Teaching Wheel is now being translated into Portuguese. It's already translated into French, and it's been translated. The first half has been translated into Italian. So that's all happening. And yeah, so will the dragons be, and it's really exciting. And that in itself is a small community of women who are finding their beautiful stride and their bigger work in the world, and creating these sacred circles for women. And I never could have guessed any of this if anybody or any being told me that from 2010 and these past 14 years that I would be doing this now. No. Not only does it seem fantastical, it's just like, I'm not that person. I am not an extrovert. I'm an introvert.
Yeah, me too.
Same.
Oh, but here we are. Yeah. So I have just one other thing that is kind of pertinent, directed, of course, again by the Star Mothers, is in September, in the time of the fall equinox, I will be in Mount Shasta with a small group that whoever comes signs up first, so that we can call the dragons down from the mountain.
Ooh, wow!
Yeah. Because there is definitely dragon energy there, and of course, so there it's in all the nodes, the 12 nodes of the earth. Right. So yeah, that's exciting. Okay, now. Questions? Any questions?
Can you define what a star mother is?
Yeah.
For us that don't really know that teaching yet.
Thank you. So the Star Mothers are the 7 sisters from the Pleiades, and they are the ones who were volunteers on a volunteer you're not going home again mission to come to the earth, and specifically to later to Lemuria. And what they did was create these nodes, NODES, of energy in 12 places on the planet, and deposited energy there in the closest thing we can think of as a time capsule to be awakened at a later date. And when that first happened, we didn't know how that awakening would happen. And then they went to Lemuria, which is where the first node was discovered or unveiled, I guess, revealed. And that's where they set up shop for the first divine human experiment experience. And with the connection to the people who live there. It wasn't like we're going to do this and you can sink or swim. It was something that they could, the Star Mothers could watch, because they have multidimensional consciousness and they can watch us in all places at all times. Of course, 200,000 years ago, there were not very many of us, right? So by the time they had set up these energy nodes, and we don't know yet how long that took. That could have taken 100,000 or 150,000 years, but the population on Lemuria was thriving. And so they went there as a consensual experiment with the people living there to begin to create divine humans. The humans there were, problem solving, living, breathing, upright people who had medicine and teachings, and they could make canoes, and they had dwellings. They had kind of a written language and a spoken language. They lived in villages around the continent of Lemuria, which was where the Hawaiian Islands are now. So the Star Mothers were the first beings to come from another place and to mate with the male Lemurians and populate. And, if you do the math and you think about 7 Star Mothers, and they gestated like humans, 9 months, and they could choose to have only girls. They could make that choice, but they decided not to, but they made a bigger ratio of girls. So say that, in year 1, 5 girls are born and 2 men, and then they need to grow up. Well, the Star Mothers can get pregnant again in the next year, and they can do that whole thing, and they need to grow. So it was a long process, and each time a generation was born, they were half Pleiadian, half Lemurian. And then after time went by and the Star Mothers, introduced, there were enough people to teach with the wheels. They did that, and then they began to have people who were half Pleiadian and half Lemurian having their own children. So the actual heritage would be 3/4 and 1/4. And I asked Kryon about that one time. Did it get down to almost nothing, with over 50,000 years? They weren't bringing in any people from the outside. It was all pretty much on the island. But what Kryon said was that the spark was always the same size.
Oh.
Yeah, the spark inside of us was always the same size. And also our Lemurian DNA lived in our 24th chromosome, lives still in our 24th multidimensional chromosome that is outside of our physical body. And 350 million people were there, and were touched by that. So if you figure that when Lemuria went through its physical transition and people left and spread out over the world, really all over the world. We know they went to Rapa Nui and New Zealand and close southern Pacific islands. But we also know that they went down the coast of the whole west coast of Mexico, South America, Central America, South America, and then overland and around Patagonia, what we call Patagonia now, and into Europe. So that's how that spread. And so it's not a surprise when, I look at Celtic stuff and it's the 5-pointed stars. Well, did it possibly come from the 5-spoke wheel, maybe?
Oh, neat idea.
Yeah. So the Star Mothers were our original Pleiadian parents and our teachers from the constellation Pleiades.
So cool.
And how do we go about connecting with the wisdom of the Star Mothers and connecting with them?
That depends on how much and how fast that you want it. Some people just have told me that they've gone out to the woods and they've asked, and they've come through, or that it happened in Mount Shasta, or it happened at a workshop, or because that spark is in us, it's never very far. I think what keeps most of us separate from that spark and that connection is our minds. Thinking about, because, we've been in organized, whatever you want to call that, religion for thousands of years. So now that we have disorganized ourselves or unorganized ourselves from that, we can reach those different places. The Star Mothers always say that we are as close as a thought.
Yeah.
But all we need to do is think about it. And they're there. And in a class, someone answered that question, and they said during the channel that humans think of our guardian angels, that are sort of over our shoulder. That's them. It's always been them. And angels were the kind of Christian deity that we put that energy into so that we could handle it. So as close as a thought, can't get much closer, and living in our DNA, in our 24th chromosome. So, people throughout these 2 years of experience with the Shamanic Teaching Wheel, and even before that, when I first started to channel the Star Mothers, people would write to me afterwards and say they came to me again, they brought me on a journey, and anything is possible because they really want to connect with us and encourage us to live our divine part of our divine human. And that's why they've come back now, because we're ready.
Yeah, I love that. I love that so much.
Yeah, isn't that beautiful? I love that.
It's so amazing. I'm still also new to this, but learning about, I'm so open-minded about everything. So learning about anything really, I'm just it's so amazing to me. So thank you.
Of course. So from 2014 until December of 2023, there are a multitude of Kryon channels on my website given at Lemurian Sisterhood meetings.
Oh, nice.
And also on my YouTube channel. But it's organized on my website. It's just that. And it is organized chronologically. On YouTube, you have to kind of go around and find it. But and they're short, 10 minutes. And you can get a sort of a sound bite of what Kryon was saying. And then there's the book, The Women of Lemuria.
Yeah.
And my copy's always in the other room.
Always in the other room. We'll have to put a link up for that as well. You'll have to send me, and I'll put that in the description of this video as well.
Yeah, and I wanted
I loaned mine to my daughter-in-law, and I never got it back exactly yet.
It's like that. Yeah. So Monica and I created that book from the channels between 2014 and 2018. And then there's added information about Dr. Todd in Lemuria and Kahuna Kale'i'olahi in Lemuria.
Oh, yeah.
And so that's all in that book. And it answers a lot of questions.
It truly does. Were you available to channel for us today? Any short messages?
Yeah. Unless there are any other questions.
I'm anxious to hear what you channel. I mean, the Pleiadians really have a spot in my heart.
Well, I wanted to mention that before the Shamanic Teaching Wheel information started to come into being, Kryon gave it to me in 2019, and I thought, okay, let's do this now. And it really wasn't happening. It just wouldn't happen. And, we were still traveling then. COVID hadn't started, and there were lots of things going on. And then once COVID started, we did online meetings for about 8 months. And I thought, okay, now I'll do it. Well, what the Star Mothers did give me, and they ended up they had me do a whole year of classes called the 12 foundational classes. And they are the foundations for the Shamanic Teaching Wheel. And they said I needed to put those out there first. They were for me and they were for everyone. So I would love anyone listening to be able to access one of those classes. So we're going to put a coupon I sent it to you, as a link that is a free class of the 12 foundationals. And the coupon says on it, one foundation.
One foundation, right. And that'll be turned on as of Sunday, I take it. So,
great. And that's good. That'll just be good. I don't think we're going to turn that off. We thought about leaving it on for 30 days, and then we thought, no. Someone may come across this in a year and go, wow, I really want to know more.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I'd love to. We'll just leave that on because, the Star Mothers, the more lives they can touch, the more hearts they can touch, the more Lemurian sparks they can awaken, the better it is for the whole planet.
That's so generous of you, because usually it's a $250 value, and that's a very generous gift. Thank you so much. That's just wonderful.
Of course.
It's wonderful. Like that's all what our show is all about: spreading the light so we can lighten the world and bringing the vibration up, so all good things can happen.
And it comes back to us. It comes back to me in so many ways that I just feel blessed to be able to share what I've been given.
So wonderful.
It's wonderful.
Yeah. Okay, so let's bring the Star Mothers through for a little message. I'm going to ask everyone to close their eyes for a moment and just settle into a soft space that will be a breathing space that will take you from your mind and listening into your heart. So nice big breath in and out. Another nice big breath in and out. One more big breath in. And as we drop into that place and space of heart light, heart energy, that beautiful coherence that connects us all, I offer this vessel, Mele'ha, as a conduit between the Star Mothers and humanity, the divine humans that are my sisters and brothers. I'm grateful to be able to do this, be this, and share this. Dear shining ones, as we step forward into this circle, we ask this of all who come now when this is ready to be shared and who find this at a later time. First of all, know that the timing is always perfect. Trust that. And it's always given with love. We know your journeys. We know your path. We know the exact moment that you should perhaps stumble by coincidence across this, or perhaps you're on the mailing list and you're specifically waiting and ready to tune in. It doesn't matter. Beloved ones, because we are with you always, beside you, within you, we are only reminding you of your light, your beauty, your greatness, and who you have come to be in this world. We have said this many times and we shall say it again. You were born for this. You chose this time to come into this life. This is the time of humanity, shifting from the darkness to the light, from the Kali Yuga to the Sat Yuga, the time of truth, the time of light where the darkness can no longer hide, and you see it struggling to hold on, to hold on. And we ask you this, when you see it, love it. Do not wish it away. Love it into softness. Love it into surrender. Love it into dissolving. For love and not resistance or discouragement or mistrust. Love is the one thing. The light of love will shift the balance. And we know you have been trained into the feeling of repelling from unpleasant things, dark things, from the pain and the suffering in humanity. But we ask you this. We ask you as often as you can remember, and perhaps you can use technology to help you remember. Stop and say a prayer of light and love and project it towards the darkness, which is the suffering, and surround it with light. Surround it with love. Soften it. See it softening at the edges. See it wavering. See it inhaling that light and that love. See it exhaling that light and that love, so that in time, that inhalation and exhalation becomes more and more light and love, and less darkness and suffering and fear. That is the formula. That is the plan. That is why we are here. That is why you are here. That is why Mele'ha will never stop having sacred assignments. We like to make a joke with her. She never thinks about retiring anymore. We have programmed her away from that thought. We take the R word of retire and we turn it into relax. And encourage her to recharge and rejuvenate, as we do all of you. This is a different paradigm, beloved ones. You are beings of light. And that is what you are here to share. And of course, your light needs to be rekindled and recharged, especially if you begin to share it and exude it towards the suffering and the fear. And remember, it starts with you. Heal yourself, heal the world. Love yourself, love the world. light yourself up from inside and you light up the world. This is your mission. And we know for so many of you, it is also a passion. And it will become more so as time evolves and more communities of love, more communities of light are created that will be sustained by each other. You have a common thread, a common goal. Whether you never meet each other, see each other, or know of each other, all of that is shared, and you are creating a difference in the light of your planet. Focus on the light, share the light, soften the rest. Take a breath. We are in deep appreciation for all of you who say yes. And we, with you, hold the sacred space of love. That is why the Star Mothers came, to teach humanity, divinity, and the love that creates it. So we step back from this meeting, but we don't step away. We always hold that sacred space. We step back. Take a breath. When you're ready, gently open your eyes.
Such a heartwarming message. I mean, it was so loving.
Yes, I could just feel that warm embrace all over my shoulders, all in this area. Felt like a big hug.
It does.
Great.
Isn't that great? We have that whenever we want it. We just have to remember.
So I felt like when we're surrounding this stuff with love, or what we see as negative and hurtful, man, we're turning it into like a cosmic pearl or something. You know, isn't that surrounding it with love and making it something beautiful?
I love that analogy. Yeah. Yeah, the grit that's inside the oyster turns into a pearl, right?
Yeah.
That's a reoccurring theme lately. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
It's my honor, really. It's my honor to be in the position of bringing this beautiful energy through.
So Beltane is your next big event.
Yes, May 1st, 5 p.m. Pacific time.
And people can join on the link that I put in.
Yeah, thank you. And there's no charge for the class, and there's no charge for the replays. And you just need to register for it, so we can send you the replay, or we can send you the link.
Oh, that's awesome. And I put up this is your sort of your landing spot, your webpage where people can access everything too. That's amberwolfphd.com for those who are listening to our podcast. I'll put that also in the description so everyone can get it, and reminders to go and get the coupon and join up for the course that's free that Amber is gifting everyone. And join the Star Mothers and their teachings. It sounds.
We have Lemurian Sisterhood Global on Instagram, and the Dragons of Mu on Instagram also. And then, of course, on Facebook, Lemurian Sisterhood Global Community. Now about 8,000 women each have joined because they want to be there. The groups, you can't sell anything there. It's just information and a beautiful community. Loving community. And then, of course, the Dragons of Mu Facebook page is now receiving.
Oh, awesome. So great. So dragons everywhere this week. Yeah. Teresa has her dragon behind her.
Yeah. With this pearl.
Yeah, with the pearl. Oh, yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
So, I just have my little dragon here. That's it.
Oh, cute.
Yeah. Brittany, what do you think? You're just all new to this. You're a artist, creator. So
Yeah, I just
inspired?
am taking it all in. I'm just like kind of like basking in it a little bit. So I'm just kind of speechless a little bit.
Yeah.
With
I-
anything new, it's a lot, you know. It's not that I'm like I'm very open to it. I'm just embracing it. So it's nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
What a feeling to embrace, isn't it?
Yeah.
And so I thank you both as Amber and as Mele'ha for bringing through this for us.
My absolute honor, really, my honor. Yeah. And thank you for having me here. Thank you all for the work that you do in putting this together and getting it out into the world. And it will be on my website as soon as you give me the information.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. As soon as we get it.
You want to do the 3 questions?
Sure. I don't know if Amber was prepared, but she can do it. She just gets the answers.
Sure.
Right now, what would you say is the theme song of your life right now?
Oh, I loved this question because I love music, and you didn't hear me while I was getting ready, but I have a soundtrack that I play while I'm getting ready that's really moving. But I also, about a year ago, wrote a will because I didn't have one. And I wrote the songs that I wanted to be played at my celebration of life.
Oh, neat.
So those came up. And then I started talking about it with Mindy and Jenny, who are the owners of the business that's the team behind me. And they're much younger than me, but they knew what I was talking about. It was pretty interesting. So I've always, the soundtrack for my life now, and has been for many years, is Chanting by Deva Premal. And it's mostly Hindu chanting, but she's German. She has a beautiful voice. She was
I know who you're
a follower of Rajneesh Osho, and that's been her life. I've seen her in person a couple of times. I've been blessed to see her in person. And so that starts my day every day, ends my day every day. But in the middle of that, it's my 2 life song, celebration of life songs are the song Dust in the Wind.
Oh, I love that one by by
Kansas.
Kansas. Yeah, I was going to say it's
I didn't know that until Jenny, who's 46, she's 30 something years younger than me. She said, "Oh yeah, Kansas." I was like, "Okay." And then we had a big discussion about this, who wrote it and who did it. I had the time of my life, the song that was played in Dirty Dancing.
Yeah, the Dirty Dancing song. I don't know.
Because I really feel that. I really feel that my life, I mean, it certainly has been incredible and not always easy. But I will always be grateful. I'm grateful.
I always say we came here for the contrast. Because spirit was like, but here we're like this. It's like a heartbeat.
Yeah.
That's how we can enjoy it.
Yeah, and that's what I feel is that's, music is kind of it's sort of the heartbeat of my life. And it is, sometimes it's real rock and roll, and other times it's chanting, and sometimes it's Alexa will play bird songs for me, and I just listen to the bird songs.
It's so encrusted in our DNA that bird songs is so calming.
That's right.
Yeah.
And then there was the question about what
favorite crystal do you have?
Yeah, my number one that has always been is clear quartz. No, it's not very exciting or sexy, but
I love it. I've got it everywhere.
And just and then rose quartz and amethyst, but always more clear quartz. I'm not drawn to the other ones that aren't clear. But lately, it's been selenite has been calling me a lot.
Yeah, that's
and
then
on 11/11, when I did here in Tucson, I did an anniversary, a 4-year anniversary of the last event that I did, and we made I bought these nice long pieces of selenite, and we made our own wands with
neat.
cool feathers and different little charms and stuff. So yeah, it's been just sort of gathering around me somehow. So that's what's there.
Oh, beautiful.
There was one more question, but I don't remember.
Oh, the one more question was, well, easily. You definitely have extra dimensional contacts, but have you seen a UFO?
Right. Have I seen a UFO? Yes, I have.
Wow.
And I was still in high school when I saw it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was your first contact.
Yep. And I just got chills when you said that. Full body. Yeah.
Do you think that might have been your starting point?
Maybe. I was with my friends, and I live on a lake, grew up on a lake, and we were at the beach next to my house, and it was pretty rural, and we watched it come down the lake, and it went past us, and then it came over us and just stayed over us. And we got in the car because we were like, ah, as if that would make any difference. But 15 or something, and then it just took off back where it came from. It was pretty
wow.
Yeah. And I was really glad I wasn't by myself, because that's a story that you want witnesses for.
Absolutely. Yes, I hear you again on that one. Yes.
Yeah.
You can only see them by yourself so many times before you need witnesses before they carry you off. Yeah. But yeah, I wonder if you did get your transmissions there. Like,
it's funny.
Ignited the spark.
I have never thought of it that way, ever. I did have an out of the body experience when I was about 11, that was in a cave on that same lake, because Indians used to live in those caves. And I found an old metate there, and I touched it, and wow, I was blown out of my body. I just got chills on my face. I mean, that's a long time ago to have that kind of still inside.
Still have that reaction, yeah.
Yeah, and I never put it, I only recently put it together that it had something to do with a past life. It just scared the bejesus out of me then. And then I never thought about the, And you asked about, did I ever see a multidimensional being? Not on the outside, but I see them on the inside. And I certainly have felt them in Mount Shasta. Certainly felt them.
Yeah.
The first time the first Kryon event, when I started traveling with Lee in 2010, we went to Mount Shasta, and it was on my birthday, which was not a coincidence, but a coincidence, or as Lee would say, a coinky dinky. And we didn't get to go on the mountain, and then the next 2 years later, we went and didn't get to go on the mountain. And then we went for a big event and went on the mountain finally. And I had the experience of, I was with a guide and one other woman that I was staying with, a friend of mine. I didn't want to leave. And I was really serious about it. And I said, look, I've got my water bottle. I've got a sweater. I'm going to stay here tonight. I mean, it was not warm at night at 8,000 feet.
Yeah.
And I had shorts on, and I was barefoot, and I was just going to stay there. I'm good. I'm good right here. And then I got a little like, I am not going. I am staying. So they talked me around, but that's how strong it was when I finally got there for me. Yeah. So, I have stories. I have a million.
Oh, so amazing. Thank you so much. We're going to end our recording now, but stay with us, okay?
Okay.
Thanks.